Welcome to the Rudy Project and our series of Descending into Leadership, curated stories and lessons from the best thought leaders around the world. Welcome to the podcast. This is Scott McAllister from the New York area with founder of MCA Executive Services. I like your first tagline or subtitle, helping people find their North Star.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it, Rudy. So yes, the what I've discovered is when people have something they're aiming for, that North Star, and know where they're going, it's a hell of a lot easier to reach it. And many people don't take the time to reflect and think about it and actually set that goal, set that vision of where they want to go. For me, I remember reading the Steve Jobs book, Walt Mossberg had written, and in there he talks about how Jobs had this just fanatical obsession with making beautiful products. It was that simple. That was his vision. That was his love. And I thought, I really should have something like that, like he could go after. And as a senior executive with places like American Express and Comcast and Time Inc., Dell, for me, what I describe it as is leading the redefinition of how people experience brands and the way that we market through digital and data. That was my passion point and how I really drove my career for many years until I hit a point where later in career, I decided, I want to pivot, do something a little different, want to leave a bit of a legacy. And leadership had always been a passion of mine. I was leading, I always had a phrase, part of the McAllister family, looking after folks that worked for me long after the fact. And so really wanted to be able to kind of that into something different and pivoted into executive coaching over the last couple of years, where I help executives with really big, challenging problems professionally, new big promotion, big job, big enterprise level experience that they've taken over, or it could also be somebody that's looking to pivot and doesn't know what that looks like, knows that the cup isn't getting filled anymore, but wants to do something different, but not clear what that is. And many times as coaches, we do take a journey and we figure something out for ourselves and want to help others figure it out. So I've kind of back into this world as an executive coach, where the world I've played in as executive, now I'm helping others kind of challenges of politics in the boardroom, enterprise level change, or even changing their profession and career as well.
Well, you have picked the perfect niche for yourself then. I couldn't say that that's a pivot that just anybody could make. I've got to know the language and the idiosyncrasies and just the hard wiring that a high level executive, their DNA.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's playing very well for you.
Yeah, I lived it. So in the space, you definitely get all types that come into the coaching field, but it's less standard to see an executive coming from the profit side of the business, or that own the business, or the marketing side of the business. So being able to say that I've been in the boardroom delivering on P&L news and driving enterprise level change, I can say I've been there, done it, and understand what it's like to play the politics, to shoulder the stress that comes with those jobs. So I think that my clients find that really useful to be able to tap into that and act as both a coach, but also strategic advisor, and that mirror that they need that can, tell them things that they don't always want to hear. It gets lonely at the top. So I see kind of somebody that's right-hand person to help people through that process.
Fantastic. Well, pardon me, I sort of half introduced myself. Rudy Vidabel, CEO of RV3 Consulting. In short, we help businesses scale their revenues over a measured 6 to 12 months. So I am trying to posture and position myself to say, hey, Scott, at some point, I'd love to explore the possibility of me possibly, I'm being redundant, become one of your offsite pastry chefs. This is for another conversation, but it's more about trying to create some content that has value to your audience, give you a platform to get your story out. I don't have a script. It's not like I'm going down a list of questions. It's just light, fun, conversational. Yeah. And some things I for sure want to hear, like, all right, let's go back to 19-year-old Scott McAllister. Where did you go to school? And your story, how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, I went to Indiana University out in the state of Indiana, Nightland. When I was there, Bobby Knight was still coaching the Indiana Hoosiers. And went there from Pittsburgh. I grew up in Pittsburgh. Went there to Indiana for the business school. I knew at that point that I had two paths I was considering. One was going into business. My father was an executive, and I always had a bit of a interest and an aptitude for the space. Also thought about, I love sports and thought about being a sports writer, and realized pretty quickly that being a sports writer meant I'd probably have to move to a very small town and have to scrap a bit to make ends meet and want to be able to provide for a family. So chose the business side of things, and I left university, my degree going to General Electric, to GE back in the Jack Welch GE days, and went through a training program, financial management program, where you have to rotate through a number of different responsibilities, rotations over a 2-year period. So every 6 months, you're moving to a new role. Had the opportunity to work across the organization, GE's Lighting's organization, got to live in Budapest, Hungary, got to work with Hitachi on a joint venture, working with the Japanese. So very global dynamic. Then once I came out of the program, I worked in FP&A, financial planning and analysis, for a side business of the lighting, which was quartz tubes and quartz, what they call boule, which the important thing about that semiconductor business was driven off of. So the lighting business was a 3% growth business. The semiconductor business that we sold into was a 50% growth business, 50. So learned there that I wanted to drive more into growth businesses. And I did a pivot, did my Six Sigma black belt with GE, but was applying to schools at the same time, and ended up at North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Wanted to
This is
be
for your grad school.
This is for grad school for my MBA, Kevin, down in Chapel Hill, and I went back to school because I wanted to pivot to the marketing side. And it was a lot easier to go get your MBA. I was a finance guy. I was an ops guy for my Six Sigma black belt. This would be a quick overnight. Now you're magically a marketer, because that's the way that the MBA works, right? And joined small little computer outfit during the summer in between first and second year, which was Dell Computer. Back in those days, they were growing $1 a day on the stock market. Exciting times, and went back there full time and spent another 4 years there full time, living in Austin, Texas. And across my career, speed things up through all the way towards the end of the career before moving to executive coaching. Typically was in marketing or customer experience, digital data. Did that for companies like Dell for family reasons. I married a woman from the New York City area who I met as a summer intern at Dell. We decided to raise our family in the Northeast, closer to home. I married a Greek woman. So you've ever seen a big fat Greek wedding? That's I'm not the Greek. And it was important to be closer to family. And so
Do you eat lamb?
What's that?
Do you eat meat? Do you eat lamb?
Yes, exactly. So American Express, where I had a 10-year career there, working across membership boards, the card acquisition, which is getting cards into people's wallets. Also spent in the digital group for the whole company, running enterprise strategy for them, and then finished up my career there in social media innovation, and pivoted out, did a stint with Cornell, a high-end watch retailer, running experience and marketing for them. And then moved to the media side of things, where I spent 2.5 years at Time, and then another 3 years at Comcast, either in more in digital transformation for those companies. And my last gig in the corporate world was with DXC Technology, which is a big technology consulting firm, $12 billion revenue, global in nature, and again, digital marketing. And hit a point where realized that I was looking for a little deeper, more meaningful. From work. I'd been doing this for 30 years and had been thinking about a pivot when I left, and right before the epidemic. And so those wonders for your job search. And that pushed me to do some deep thinking. And that's when I thought I wanted to get into coaching. And my wife didn't think it was nearly as good an idea as I did. So I said, no, you're right. I'll go back to another executive role. We have 4 children. 2 are now in college. So that was part of the algebra of that. Post DX, yes.
Did you so you went back corporate, and then were you warrior evenings building up your practice?
Not yet.
Side?
Nope. I said, you know what? She's right. I've got more runs in me, and ended up my last run with DXC. I just knew at that point it was it was I'm going to run this one out. When this one runs out, then I'm going to do the leap. And I basically, within a few weeks after leaving DXC, I started my coaching school. A month later, I launched my executive coaching business, and I've been in business now for over 2 years. Labor Day back to in a month and a half or so ago is when I launched the business, and haven't looked back. Love what I do. I get to help people really kind of realize their full, give somebody that right person that they don't necessarily have. It's lonely at the top, and help people to really become not only professionally but also personally fulfilled. Get some of those imposter idiosyncrasies out of the way to really help them fully realize their full potential.
That's phenomenal. My immediate thought was, wow, what a robust resume. You must have so many things you can draw off from different aspects of each company's culture. And consulting with this executive, you could say, hey, I really liked the way Dell's culture operated in this particular challenge you're dealing with. How about applying that here? I mean, I don't know what it is, but like you've got probably this experience that you can, it makes 100% sense you chose to do what you did. And now that you have, are you enjoying more autonomous lifestyle?
I am being able to, it gives me the ability to have the impact, and it's a feel good, and giving to others. I feel a lot of reward in doing that, but it also gives me a great deal of flexibility. I still have 2 kids that are very involved in sports, one in high school, one in middle school, still coaching some teams and going to the sports. And a lot of those matches and games happen at 4:15 in the afternoon, and able to take advantage of that while still having the impact and the work that I'm doing as an executive coach. So I challenge you to find many coaches that are not very happy people. It's a pretty happy lot of people. You get to do work that feels very impactful.
So I myself, I'm not looking to be a coach. I'm looking to be offsite pastry chef guy to your niche.
Mm.
So was that out being able? Were you able to go to your kids' sporting events and those kind of things to the scale that you are now?
As an executive, no. My
I
older,
imagine not.
yeah, my older 2 kids are very different. I was building my career young. I was not able to be around a lot. I traveled a ton. Was in the city, entertaining for work a good deal. So for me, somebody in my 50s now, wanted to make sure, because I know how fast it goes. Seeing the first 2 go off to school and whatnot. One about ready to graduate from a master's program. I know how fast it goes. So it's enabled me to be fully present for the other 2. And also, quite frankly, those jobs, the senior executive jobs, are very stressful, and they take their toll. They take your relationships, they take their toll on your health. And so I've moved in a place where the stress is at a different level. I can shoulder some of that for my clients, but not in a way that's hurting my health. I can have some more flexibility and freedom to be there for the 2 kids that are still working their ways.
Are they high schoolers?
I've got a son who's a sophomore in high school, and I have a daughter who's a 7th grader. So I've got a big graduate school, freshman college, sophomore high school, 7th grade daughter. So I've got a nice big spread.
That's great. I myself am not a dad, but I've been involved with street kids in Cambodia for like 25 years.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of liken myself that I go over there. I haven't been able to get over there this year, but 2024, I went over there 3 times, and
Wow.
just really enjoy giving people experiences that they wouldn't otherwise have, like taking them to the a couple days. And just, it's, when you're in the pool or the water, the ocean, going, okay, this is pretty close to what it must feel like to be a dad.
You got the good part of it, not the downside.
Like, hey, great seeing you.
Exactly. We go back.
I don't know. Were you raised in the church at all?
I was Catholic. I'm Greek Orthodox. I converted because my wife is Greek Orthodox, which is the same religion for 1100 years.
So what I'm pointing to is that in the New Testament sites, I wish you guys could all be like me, meaning single, because I'm 55 now. I used to, like, up until I'd say early 40s, I used to get a lot of, oh, you poor single guy. How do you turn it back on then? I'm like, wow, you poor married person. How do you cope? I mean, nobody really has it, do they?
We each have our own crosses to bear. That's for sure.
So I'm curious, in your practice, is most of your stuff one-on-one, or are you doing? Yeah, I would imagine so. You're not doing like
Part of one coaching. I am starting to move into doing team coaching as well because I'm coaching with the executives, and as I'm helping them, many times it's somebody newer to a role and helping them to accelerate their impact in that role, set the vision, set the strategy, and kind of the plan for how to make that real. Part of that is well, how do we get your team to perform better, and how do we understand the team dynamic and get them bought into the strategy? So it's a natural extension of the work that I do as well. So a bit of team coaching on top of the regular coaching. I do some public speaking. I talk about the purpose. I help people in job transition and have a talk about demystifying the job search. Do some public speaking as well, which gives me a bit of a broader audience impact. I was on the stage at an ANA conference in Nashville back about 4 months ago, talking about that performance through purpose, and 250 people in a room. I don't get to go as deep, but I get to impact a lot more folks, and then hopefully serve a subset of them as a coach at some point. Very interesting in business. You put a lot of seeds out there, and then sprouts come up sorts of different times, or people that pop up 2 years later that I talked to 2 years ago that say, hey, I really could use your help now. So you never know when somebody will come up.
Have you ever been a part of a mastermind group with, say, a dozen entrepreneurs? Is the platform you're considering
It
executives?
is. I'm working with a group right now that's helping me really kind of narrow the niche of what some of it is the product of some of the work I've done with them, of where I'm focused on these senior executives and specifically accelerating their impact many times in new roles, as well as the pivot. What part of what they do is productization of different offers, different price points, and masterminds, and then even online work are kind of like, I'd love to serve more folks. Not everybody can afford my services, but masterminds is a different price point that can bring in enough folks that I couldn't serve one-on-one, and even online kind of self-directed to help people as well. So those are things that I'll be launching. I would guess the next 6 to 9 months that those will be to kind of diversify the portfolio.
Cool. So in the incubator, possibly Q2, Q3.
That sounds about right. Yep.
I had never done mastermind before, and COVID bubbled up those. So I was on one of those calls one time, and there's about, I don't know, 14 people, and my immediate thought was like, I felt like I was on Hollywood Squares. I was like, hey down.
I've seen that done well. You need to have somebody that knows how to kind of manage that situation, get the most value out of it. But there are ways to get value out of that for sure.
Is certainly a skill set that you need to have as a host. At some point, I always like to circle back to the beginning of the call. Have you ever heard of the Rudy Project?
I have not.
It might seem like a little bit vainglorious, but it's not. It makes helmets and eyewear for predominantly for
Yes, I thought
skiing.
it was your own Rudy Project. That's why it's based on your name. I've actually worn a pair of Rudy Project sunglasses back in the day because I used to do triathlon.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, I've ever watched Iron Man. It's a very popular brand amongst Iron Man athletes. Skiing is pretty much like right up there with air for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually average about 45 days out west every season.
Wow.
So I'm very fortunate. Back to the, it helps being.
Yep.
But my pair of Rudy Project ski goggles, I don't know, 25 years ago, and I'm going up the lift, a couple years into having these Rudy Project goggles, and it just hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm the project. Nobody can fix and point the way and create a master plan for me to get there, but nobody can do the work for you.
That is correct. Yeah.
So you're highly developed people. Everybody's got problems. What kind of they must have an array of or do they keep it just business?
It always starts with business, but I always tell them, if I do my work, we absolutely will solve whatever you bring me. But if I haven't helped you become a better human being in the process, I haven't done my job. So It always tends to executive coach. It works with executive on professional problems, but I have a variety of tools in my toolkit that get at things like we think as professionals that it's a vacuum. Professionals a vacuum and everything else is separate outside of work, but there's no vacuum. You're the same person that's at work that comes home to your dog or your friends or your spouse or whatever. Your health is impacted by what you do at work, outside of work. All these things are interconnected. So if you do not work with somebody as a whole human being, you're not going to actually get the best outcomes. So the other thing I'll go on what you said is in coaching, they tell us to believe and know that our people that we are our clients, they're fully capable of solving these things. We as coaches are facilitators. And they actually talk about it. I went through the Collective Training Institute. There's the coach, there's the client, and there's a container where the two meet. And we're working with that container so that we bring into the container the tools, the mirror. I bring my experiences, which was in advisory, and all those things. Then client is coming into that container and they choose what to take from that and how to actually employ it. So if someone does not want to be helped, you can't help them, to be quite honest. But because people are paying me a good deal of money to be helped, they tend to want to help. You can, because I also work with corporate clients, you can get corporate clients that may be less excited about working with a coach, but the industry has changed quite a bit. It used to be 10, 15 years ago, coaches would be brought in when somebody had a problem and you're fixing them. It's become much more, I always say, like in swimming.
Voluntarily.
Yeah, swimming, could you imagine Olympics, Michael Phelps swimming and not having his coach? You could. Why would high performance executives not want to have somebody to help them to perform at a better level? Same concept.
Do you currently have a coach?
I do. They had 13 plus years that I've worked with, that I got way back when with American Express. Actually, I went to American Express and said, I want to move in my career and elevate and accelerate. And they said, well, you're not broken. We only get them for people that need something fixed. So I went off and got my own coach, and I've worked with her ever since. She's changed my life substantially. So if which is an interesting question, anybody that's going to coach you, because if the answer is no, then do they believe they really can help you if they don't think they need help themselves?
Good pondering. Good thing to ponder. Kind of like, if you can project, Mr. Plumber, next week, are you any good? Like, maybe you want to find a plumber that's booked for, it depends. That's a statement. But I think that you'd have to pause with some tradespeople and go, you can start next week.
Yeah, coaches on average tend to invest very heavily in themselves. That was one of the surprises to me of how much I've invested in. I did a coaching school my first year, but I decided to do a totally different coaching school the next year. There's a woman that came from a therapy-based background that became a coach. So building my toolkit out, I have, I'm certified in the assessment, which is a third-party assessment that helps identify your light and dark behaviors and your values. It's very heavily.
They're kind of like DISC, like
it is. It's a DISC though. But yeah, DISC is one of so many different assessments that you can do. So this is another example would be DISC.
Yeah, really cool one there. I did one a few years ago that was, the way it like a book from asking you, like, I don't know, it was 200 questions. Good tools.
Yes.
So, workplace, it doesn't matter if we're talking about executives or blue collar workers. The statistics are somewhere around 70+%. They are vexed by their work, hate it, or strongly dislike it, or they're just complacent, complicit, just, got to get that paycheck. How often do you see the executive areas? Is it really numbers wise? And then that's your thing, is to probably help people get, turn that light back.
Yeah.
Excited.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the type of. I've got somebody that's got a new promotion or a new role. They tend to be more energized, right? Going into that, you don't tend to kind of be like, oh, it's something brand new. That tends to reinvigorate. The folks that I get that are like, this doesn't fill me and I want to pivot, many of them are burnt out from what they've seen. What I would describe to you is I've seen a level of toxicity, and maybe there's a bias effect based on who shows up to me, right? But the level of toxicity in corporate America, the executive level, on through is at a level I'd never seen before. And I believe my thesis is the amount of change that we are experiencing geopolitically, as well as with AI and everything else going on, when we're under much change as human beings, even those that say they like change, we have a negative physical response to change, a reptilian brain. And when you're under duress, so that you're feeling some duress because of the change, that means stress. When you are under stress, you never are in your best behaviors. You're in your default behaviors, which tend to be you overuse your strengths in a way that they become a weakness. So if you've got 10, 15 execs in a company all under stress and duress and in their default behaviors, it ends up being like remember Pigpen and the Peanuts, and it's a big dirty scrum. That's what corporate America in many cases is looking like these days, unfortunately. So my belief is through my CVI method, which is clarity, vision, plan for impact, that clarity stage is about getting people really clear on their own strengths, their own values, what their operating system is that they run personally, what are their saboteurs that get in their way, so they can have a level of clarity before they go and create a vision that they can get inspired by and inspire others with. And then putting a plan in place with the right milestones, the right KPIs to say, am I successful? Have I made this happen? And bringing my expertise from 30 years in the corporate world to help them build that plan, to help them kind of fine tune that vision. And then the coaching skills that really help bring that clarity and kind of pull all the way. So I kind of look at it as a ripple effect, right? You put the pebble in the water and the ripples that sent out. I work one-on-one with people, but I know in working with a leader, if I can get them to show up in a much more abundant way and in a positive way, that is going to have ripples through their entire team and across their cross-functional partners. And the more people that I can impact, the more positivity I can put out there.
Doesn't get any better than that.
That's why I love what I do.
It's a good day to be breathing. What do you like to do when you're not coaching? Like, I see your fighter jacket. Are you a skier?
I used to be. My kids are basketball players, so that does not allow for getting away for ski weekends all that often, unfortunately. So I'm a huge sports person. I grew up in Pittsburgh, so I'm a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I've picked up on some of the New York teams. I'm a Knicks fan, Giants fan, Mets fan, which some of those can be painful over time. And Jersey Devil fan. I'm up here living in Jersey, so I take my kids to the sporting events. I do some coaching. I'm a youth advisor at church to the teens, which I really enjoy. I also sit on a board for the All-Star Project of New Jersey, which is out of Newark, that helps underprivileged kids from Newark and Jersey City and help path for them into opportunities professionally from high school and college out into the world. And then I'm a family person. I'm married just celebrated my 25th wedding anniversary, and you don't have 4 kids and not be a family person. So I've 2 off to college, but 2 here still. And we're off to Ohio State to visit my daughter the weekend of the 15th to go see Ohio State play UCLA. She's a freshman, so this will be the first time in the horseshoe for us. And I'm very excited for that as well. And I love
Congratulations on yours.
What's that?
I said, congratulations on your 25 years. Here's to the next 25.
Thank you.
God.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm blessed to have married my best friend and the best ever happened to me.
Well done. That's next to choosing business partners. It's above that, of course. I've learned the hard way. Like, you're getting into business, it's right up there with marriage, buddy.
Yes.
Better make sure it's good.
Yes. Yes. It can make you very, very unhappy depending on how well you select.
Indeed. So I didn't hear you mention Indiana.
Oh, I'm still a Hoosier fan. Football's come out of nowhere. I'm still a big basketball fan, but football is like we've suddenly become a football school. And kind of North Carolina, clearly 2 very good basketball schools there. So during the winter and spring months and March Madness, that clearly is a focus in the house as well. So I get back to, I was in a fraternity out in Indiana, so we get back every couple of years. Last year we were there for homecoming. We're going to go out next year again for a football game and get the fraternity brothers together. I think I laughed more over that weekend than I did the entire year combined. Just hanging with the guys and razzing was like old times.
It's a really special reconnect with those pals that you made in college. I've got a ski weekend coming up in early December. One of my fraternity brothers, he's in Austin, Texas now, and lets me use his ski in, ski out place at Beaver Creek.
Oh, nice.
All right. If I can't, someday like to be a independently wealthy guy, but until that, pretty close to those that I can use their stuff.
Like a boat. The best friend to have is the friend with the boat. Not own the boat yourself, because the best 2 days of a boat owner's life is when they buy it, when they sell it. But friends with boats, that's a whole nother discussion.
Boat, bust out another 1,000. It's more like bust out another 10 grand.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you're 2+ years into it. What's been the most successful way to get your clients? Is it word of mouth, people that you already knew in the industry, just saying, picking up the phone and saying, hey, they pivoted?
Yeah,
You want to,
it's a lot of networking. I'm blessed with that 30 years to have a very rich network. American Express, especially, is the alumni network is phenomenal. And showing up to just hear what people are going on, see if there's. I don't sell, I serve. If there's a way to serve, I look to serve in the moment. Also, tend to offer up to people that in my network that they can gift to two people in their network a complimentary coaching session. Coaching is a very personal thing. It's still kind of like doctors were in the 1980s. There's nowhere where you go look. Yes, you can search online, but people tend to want to at least know somebody that knows you and feels comfortable, starting that discussion even before even kind of opportunity to coach. And those come to me on those complimentary sessions. Maybe it's only one session, but once you coach with somebody, you have a vibe for it and a feeling for it. Somebody says, "Oh, do you know of a coach?" Your name can come up in the process. So that's really how I built my business. I also do some public speaking. You tend to get people that get interested when they hear you speak in understanding what your services might look like. And then there's the social media networks, but that's a lot with the branding. It's kind of like Coca-Cola with the polar bears. Like the ad doesn't make you want to go out and buy that moment, but it keeps the top of mind. So posting, especially on LinkedIn, which is where my audience and clients that I serve tend to sit. I tend to be active there and try and inspire and motivate people with what I put out there and help them learn and be more productive professionals. So all of those things, but it's very much a one-to-one networking, finding how to serve, not how to sell. You show up in service, put the abundance out there, abundance comes back.
yeah, I imagine the word of mouth would probably be your strongest thing.
Yep,
And
I know.
One of your warm coach that I always say, who do you know that I should know? Line that's always stuck with me.
Yes. Yeah. And the way I look at it, something of value in this complimentary coaching session that they can gives them something that they're giving to somebody in that work. So they're giving some value. I can always get a nugget or two for that person. And then for me, it just builds my brand, people that have exposure to, coaching with experiencing that. And, that's something you can't say in a tagline. You have to experience it. And that's how I built the business. It takes time. It's, the first year is a lot of starts. After that first year, you start to see some people coming and, I get more inbound. The inbound tends to be have worked with me or know me. If somebody kind of reaches out, tends to be, hey, I'm looking for a coach. Folks that have worked for me in the past or worked in organizations I've worked in. That tends to be the way that it presents. It's
good. Would you be my friend on LinkedIn?
We can connect, Rudy. I don't know if that's a friend, but we connected on LinkedIn.
So I gotta preface this. I don't know what happened to LinkedIn. I got locked out and I need to keep doing a deep dive and see if I can get my old account back. But I had a couple thousand connections, start all over. I have only one connection right now. Yeah. So I literally had to start all over. So people like yourself that I'm trying to connect with, see my name, Rudy Vitavel. Oh, let's, go check this guy out. And they see one, I think the temptation, the very real possibility of me being possibly an AI bot or a fraud.
Yes.
So I just want to address that. I am a real person, as evidenced by this call.
Well, AI technically could create this, just so we're clear.
Oh, I didn't know it could.
It can. I've seen it. I was into, and John Lennon kind of like avatar that you could ask questions to, and it was creepy how real it felt.
Really looked like John Lennon talking to you.
Looked like him, had the mannerisms, and the things that he said sounded like things that John Lennon would say.
Think of where we'll be, I want to say, think of where we'll be in years. Mm-hmm. It's more like 2 months.
Yeah, it keeps the cycles are kind of crazy. I think we've hit kind of the peak of the thinking it's going to world and go away, and we're just starting to come down. But I'm starting to hear things about maybe there's a bubble. I'm starting to hear things about companies on the tech side that got rid of tons of employees thinking AI would replace all of it, are starting to realize, oh, the human beings are needed for some things. The same way in factories, we've automated our factories. There's still human beings throughout factories, working factories. So there will be amazing transformation that will occur. A little bit in the hype cycle right now too. I think we're still discovering. But what do they? It's in a year you may not be as far as you thought you'd be, but in 10 years you're gonna be so much further than you ever thought you would be.
So yeah, I mentioned offsite pastry thing, and just to be honest, this is my 12th podcast, so I'm pretty new. Just looking at it as a great other way of connecting with folks. So again, thank you for taking a chance on this Rudy guy who is AI.
I don't know that when you reached out with one connection, because usually I will look and be like, okay, is this person trying to sell to me? What's the point of this? Da, 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 da. Like it figures. I don't remember seeing that. That's how my thought would not be of an AI bot is like it's somebody overseas trying to scam. Although they usually tend to be a picture that's not somebody like you, Rudy. They tend to be a very beautiful young lady that is then crafted and tells you that I used to get emails about they wanted a friend on LinkedIn. That friend word. I was like, wait, what?
I think it must have been, I was thinking like that crossed up.
My pleasure though. Very enjoyed our conversation. I appreciate you reaching out.
Enjoyed it as well. Any I use that word nugget a lot. Hear some professional speaker, and often they'll say, you thank you for investing the time to my talk, and if you can just get one nugget out of it, that's can be worth the price of admission. Do you have one last? Do you have a nugget? One last nugget that you might want to share with the audience before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think it's that my belief is everybody in the world has a zone of genius. And what I say by that, many people get turned off for genius, but what it means is where when you are doing said thing that you are a genius at, it's your flow state. And for you, skiing is probably a zone of genius based on what you said of how much you love to ski and you kind of lose yourself for 5 hours. You're doing it in 5 minutes. I believe everybody has something professionally that is their zone of genius, and it's their right to be able to go there. So my focus tends to be when I work with people on their strengths and what's your superpowers and what is the superpower and how do we employ that out in the world. Now, hopefully your superpower is something that's both needed in the world and they'll pay for. You get into Japanese ikigai of what I love, what I'm great at, what the world needs, what the world will pay for. That ikigai is where the sweet spot is. But I do believe every one of us has that superpower. And one of the things I do with my clients is make sure they understand what that is so they can lever it. It becomes a major leverage point to their success.
Thank you, Miyagi. That's not to be coy and cheapen that nugget. Is a really good nugget. So yeah, I would love it if we could I'll send you another link. I've been in landscaping for 30 years and I pivoted this summer and I'm getting into this consulting thing. So it'd be very helpful for me to take it to the next step and, do this discovery call and just what your pain points are. And maybe I can help you. Maybe I can't. Or maybe you're like, I like that Rudy fella. I should connect him with, because I feel like getting started. I don't know all that goes into the Ford. I know the people that can help me deliver the Ford. He was excellent.
What made you kind of landscaping?
Still in landscaping.
Okay.
I love it. But it is 7 months out of the year. Just had my 55th birthday, and I've been for something that I can travel the world and do. Just thinking 5-10 years down the road, how much longer am I going to do landscaping? I don't know, but I'm having fun doing it now. So there's a bit of transparency. Like you don't have to be great gotta get started to be great. So
that's a nugget. That's a nugget.
Fun. What?
So that's a nugget.
I don't know how many nuggets we've had. We've had at least half a dozen nuggets. So, audience, hope you're feeling well fed.
Awesome. Well, Rudy, thank you for having me, and look forward to reconnecting.
Likewise, and really good to meet you. I'm extending my hand to wait. Okay, go this way. There we go. There we go. So good. Again, thank you for investing the hour. May the return of this vested hour be limitless. Up with Scott McAllister here out of the New York area, and I'm Rudy Wiedebel, V3 Consulting. Peace.